The sky was painted the kind of blue you only see in spring, calm, cloudless, full of promise. Lavender balloons floated in the breeze, tied delicately to the white picket fence outside Colette's house. I pulled into the driveway, gift basket on the seat beside me, heart full of warmth. This was supposed to be a celebration. My best friend, my ride or die since 6th grade, was having a baby. And everything about this moment screamed perfection. The pastel streamers, the champagne glasses, the floral arch with "It's a Girl" spelled out in cursive pink lights, it felt like stepping into a magazine photo shoot. But somewhere in the pit of my stomach, something felt off. Not a scream, not a siren, just a quiet, unsettled feeling. My husband Bennett parked behind me and climbed out slowly. He scanned the crowd gathering in the front yard with a strange tightness in his eyes. Colette had always been a little extra. She threw themed birthday parties for her dog. Her wedding had a live harpist and ice sculptures. But this was another level. I glanced at Bennett as he adjusted the collar of his shirt, his lips pressed into a thin line. "Looks like half the town showed up," he muttered. I tried to laugh. "She always goes big, you know that." He nodded, but he didn't smile. And for the first time that day, I asked myself a question I wouldn't be able to shake for weeks. How does someone with a non-profit salary and a husband in small publishing afford all this? We were just steps from the front porch when Bennett slowed his pace. I looked back at him. His body was rigid, his brow furrowed in that way I'd seen only once before when he had to tell a mother her son didn't make it through surgery. His voice was low, controlled, but it hit like a slap. "We have to go, now!" I froze. "What? Are you serious?" He didn't answer right away. His eyes kept scanning the crowd like a detective at a crime scene. Children laughed. Someone popped a champagne cork. Colette posed near a balloon arch, glowing. But Bennett? His jaw was locked. His fingers curled into fists at his side. "Bennett," I whispered, "you're scaring me." He leaned in closer, his breath warm near my ear. "Something's wrong here. I can't explain it yet. But we need to leave before I see what it really is." I blinked. My heartbeat pulsed in my ears. This was supposed to be a baby shower, not a crime scene. Not this. We can't just leave. This is Colette's day. He looked me dead in the eye. Exactly. The car ride was quiet. Too quiet. Bennett gripped the steering wheel like it was the only thing keeping him grounded. His eyes stayed on the road, but I could see the storm behind them. I stared out the window, arms crossed, still trying to understand why we had left so abruptly. "You ruined the whole afternoon," I muttered. No reply. The silence stretched. Then, just as we passed the gas station near Maple Avenue, he spoke. "Colette's not pregnant." The words hung in the air like a gunshot in a church. I turned to him slowly. "What did you just say?" He didn't look at me. "She's not pregnant, Sarah. That bump? It's fake. She's faking the whole thing." I laughed. A short, sharp, almost hysterical sound. "Are you out of your mind? That's insane, Bennett." He didn't flinch. "I'm a doctor. I notice things others don't. So now you're accusing my best friend, someone I've known for 2 decades, of faking a pregnancy because you noticed something?" "Noticed a lot of things." I shook my head, heat rising to my face. "No, you just don't like her. You've always had a problem with how close we are." He gripped the wheel tighter. "This isn't jealousy. This is me telling you something is wrong, and I need you to see it." I looked away, because the truth was, part of me already had. "You know I didn't want to say anything earlier," Bennett began, eyes still fixed on the road, "but I've been noticing things for weeks." I didn't respond. I couldn't. Part of me was furious. The other part was listening, and that scared me more than anything. "Her ankles," he said quietly. "No swelling. Not even a little. At 7 months, most women can't wear those dainty heels she had on. I stayed silent. Her arms, her face, her posture, none of it has changed. She's carrying that bump like it's propped in place, not connected to her body. He took a breath. And did you notice how she never lets anyone touch her stomach? Not once? She said she's just being cautious. I murmured, my voice weak. Cautious is one thing, but every single time, even with you, her best friend? He had a point. But I didn't want to give it to him. Lots of women have easy pregnancies, I argued, clinging to anything. That's the thing. She says she's had no symptoms. No nausea, no fatigue, no weird cravings, no back pain, just smooth sailing. So I shot back. Maybe she's lucky. Bennett finally glanced at me. Sarah, I've delivered babies for over 10 years. That kind of pregnancy doesn't exist. Not naturally. The words hit harder than I expected. He turned his eyes back to the road. I looked at her. I watched her today, and everything about her movements, they were calculated, too careful, too curated, like she was acting pregnant, not living it. I blinked hard, trying to block the sting behind my eyes, because deep down, he wasn't just describing Colette, he was describing the parts of her I had refused to see. The rest of the drive blurred into silence, not the comfortable kind, but the thick, suffocating kind, where every breath feels like betrayal. I sat there, arms wrapped tightly around myself, eyes fixed on nothing. My mind ran in circles. Colette would never lie to me. We've shared every major moment of our lives. First crushes, college heartbreaks, wedding dress fittings. She was there when my dad died. I was there when her mom left. She wasn't just my best friend. She was the constant in a world that changed too much, too fast. But then there was Bennett, steady, observant. A man who rarely spoke unless he meant every word. The kind of man who saved lives for a living because details mattered to him more than opinions. He wasn't jealous, he wasn't impulsive, he was, and always had been, right. So why did part of me still want to scream at him? Why did I want to believe Colette so badly it hurt? Because if she was lying, then I had been blind, not just now, but for years. And that truth would break more than just trust. It would shatter the foundation I'd built my entire adult life on. The next morning, I didn't sleep in. I didn't eat. I didn't check my emails. I just stared at the mug of coffee I'd made, untouched, cold, as if it might whisper some kind of answer. Maybe it's nothing, I told myself. Maybe Bennett's wrong. Maybe I'm just spiraling. But the silence in my kitchen didn't comfort me. It pressed against my chest like a weight. So I picked up my phone. Thumb hovered over the screen. Then I typed, "Hey Colette, I think I left my blue shawl at your place yesterday. Can I swing by to grab it?" The lie sat heavy on my tongue. There was no shawl. I knew that, but I also knew I couldn't ignore this gnawing, anxious pull inside me. Her response came fast. "So sorry, I'm at a doctor's appointment across town, but Mairead's home. She can let you in." Huh, perfect. Colette's younger sister. Sweet. Unfiltered, not trained in the same emotional gymnastics Colette had mastered. If anyone would slip, it would be Mairead. I grabbed my keys, my bag, and the softest, calmest version of my face and drove straight into the unknown. Mairead greeted me in sweats and a messy bun, her usual look. No pretense, no makeup, just honest exhaustion. "Hey," she said, letting me in. "Colette said you left a shawl." I nodded, trying to smile. "Yeah, might have dropped it somewhere in the nursery when we were up there yesterday." Mairead hesitated for a second, then nodded again. "Sure, go ahead." I climbed the stairs slowly, my pulse ticking like a metronome in my ears. The door to the nursery was still slightly ajar. I pushed it open gently and froze. It was beautiful. No, it was perfect. A hand-painted mural covered one wall, soft watercolor animals in a forest setting. A chandelier sparkled over a vintage white crib. Open shelving held rows of pastel blankets, organic lotions, and designer baby toys. But there was something wrong. Everything was pristine. Too pristine. I walked closer to the crib. The mattress was still sealed in plastic. The mobile was hanging, but its tag was still attached. The dresser drawers, full of neatly folded clothes, all with the price tag still on. The bottles were untouched, the wipes unopened, the monitor still in its box. Nothing had been used. Nothing had even been prepared. This wasn't a room waiting for a baby. This was a room staged for photographs, for approval, for display. A nursery too perfect to be real. I didn't mean to snoop. That's what I kept telling myself as I scanned the room one last time. Just as I turned to leave, something caught my eye. A corner of leather peeking out from behind the changing table. I reached down, careful not to disturb anything, and pulled it out. A journal, small, hand-bound, familiar handwriting on the first page, flowing, looping. Colette's. I hesitated. This wasn't mine to read. But neither was this room what it claimed to be. I opened it. "My dearest daughter," the first entry began, "though you are not yet in my arms, you are already in my heart." My chest tightened. They say it's not possible. They say I should accept reality, but I won't, because I feel you, I know you, and I believe with everything I have that one day you'll come back to me. Page after page, letters, notes, daydreams, please. They don't understand, but I know you're real. Some pages were hopeful. Some were angry. Some felt like prayers screamed into the void. The most recent entry, "The donations are almost complete. Just a little longer now and everything will be ready. Then I'll make the world believe just like I do." My hands trembled as I closed the journal. This wasn't just a lie. It was a delusion, one that had grown roots. The cabin was exactly as I remembered it. Nestled between pine trees with the lake stretching out behind it like glass. But today it didn't feel peaceful. It felt like the edge of something, a place where truths could fall apart. Colette stood on the porch when I arrived. No makeup, no floral dress, just a plain white sundress and bare feet. And no bump. I froze. She looked at me. Her eyes were puffy but dry. "You knew," she said quietly. I nodded. She stepped aside to let me in. I followed her into the cabin, the air stale, heavy with memories. She sat down on the couch and curled her legs under herself, just like she used to in college. "Do you hate me?" she asked, barely audible. "No," I said, "but I don't understand." She laughed, but it was brittle. "That makes two of us." There was silence. Then she began. "It was last year. 8 weeks along. I didn't tell anyone yet. We were waiting until the second trimester." She stared straight ahead. Alaric was in London. I was alone. My throat tightened. "Why didn't you call me?" "Because you had just gotten promoted. Everyone was so happy for you. I didn't want to ruin it." The guilt hit me hard, unexpected and sharp. "After the miscarriage," she said, voice barely a whisper, "I fell apart. Quietly, secretly. I kept pretending she was still there. I started writing to her, talking to her. I closed my eyes. Colette, I bought the bump online," she continued. "I told Alaric it was just for the fundraiser, just to get through one speech, one appearance. Then we'd make up a story about losing her again." She swallowed hard. But the moment people clapped, the moment they smiled and called me brave, I couldn't stop. "He was supposed to ground me," Colette whispered, "but instead he gave me permission to stay broken." She didn't cry. Not anymore. She was too tired for that. "The night of the fundraiser," she continued, "I was pacing in the bathroom, shaking. I couldn't do it. Go out there, speak about maternal health like I hadn't just lost a child." She looked at me. eyes dull but honest. I told Alaric I was going to tell the truth, that I'd cancel the speech. Then her voice flattened, and that's when he said it, word for word. You don't have to cancel. You don't even have to tell them. Just pretend. Just for today. My stomach dropped. I thought he was joking. I laughed, but he was serious. Colette ran her fingers through her hair, restless, unraveling. He said, "No one will question it. You're grieving. You deserve support. We need this funding to keep the foundation alive." She paused. And in that moment, I wanted to believe him. Because if he believed I was still a mother, then maybe, just maybe, I didn't have to stop being one. I couldn't speak. The words wouldn't come, because part of me understood it. And part of me hated that I did. I stared at her. My chest rose and fell too fast. "So you faked a pregnancy to get funding? To get sympathy? To do what? Sell a story?" My voice broke. I didn't know whether I was whispering or shouting. Colette didn't flinch. "I did it for the foundation," she said simply. I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "You lied. You built your charity work on a lie?" She looked up, something flickering behind her eyes. "And people believed in it," she said. "They believed in me. They gave because they felt something." I stood up, unable to sit still anymore. "They gave because they thought you were one of them, a mother who understood the pain." "And I did," she shouted. "I do. I still do." Then softer, "I lost her. I carried that pain alone. No one saw it. No one came with flowers. No one said sorry. But when I pretended she was still there, the world finally noticed." My heart sank. "So what? You just kept going?" She nodded. "People need a symbol, a face, a story to believe in. I gave them that." I shook my head. "You didn't give them hope, Colette. You gave them fiction." She didn't argue. She just looked out the window. And for the first time, I wasn't sure she knew the difference anymore. It started with a headline, posted anonymously on a small but loud community forum. A single post, no name, no photo. Just a title, "Fraudulent Pregnancy, Local Nonprofit Under Fire," and then the details, names, dates, dollar amounts, the fundraiser, the speeches, the foundation's tax records, the bump. Within hours, it spread like wildfire. Screenshots on Facebook, angry threads on Twitter, concerned emails from donors. Bennett showed me the post over coffee. His jaw clenched. Mine dropped. "This is it," he said. "She's exposed." I didn't say a word, because I was too busy rereading the final paragraph again and again. Several sources close to the couple confirmed the pregnancy was fabricated. The foundation is under federal review. Sarah stared at her phone. Colette's face, once celebrated, was now circled in red. The media didn't wait for facts. By sunrise the next day, every local outlet had a headline: "Pregnancy Hoax Rocks Nonprofit World. Colette Hensley Charity Saint or Noster Manipulator." Talk shows debated her mental state. Former donors went live on TikTok, weeping and furious. Old friends posted cryptic Instagram stories, some vague, some vicious. Even my inbox wasn't safe. I know you're close to her. But how could you stay silent? Did you know the whole time? And just like that, Colette became public property, picked apart by strangers, turned into hashtags, clickbait, and cancel culture fuel. And then silence. No updates, no press conference, no apology. Colette vanished. She stopped answering her phone. Her house went dark. Her foundation site went offline. Even Merida didn't know where she was. And in the void she left behind, only shame remained. It was nearly midnight when the knocking started. 3 slow, soggy thuds on the front door. Bennett had already gone to bed. I was curled on the couch, aimlessly scrolling, trying not to think. Then came the 4th knock, louder, lonelier. I opened the door, and there she was, Colette, soaked to the bone, hair clinging to her cheeks, mascara smeared like bruises under her eyes. Her lips trembled before she even spoke. I had nowhere else to go. She stepped inside without waiting for permission, shoes leaving puddles, hands shaking like glass about to shatter. I handed her a towel. She didn't take it. She just looked at me raw hollow. "I didn't think it would get this far," she whispered. "I thought if I just gave people something to believe in, maybe they'd never ask questions." I didn't answer. Not yet. Because what do you say to someone who ruined lives by trying to feel loved? I made her tea. Chamomile. Hot. 2 spoons of honey. Just like she used to drink it when we were 20 and heartbroken over college boys. She didn't touch it. She just stared at the steam curling from the mug. Hands wrapped tight in the towel I gave her. Shoulders trembling, silent. The clock ticked louder than the rain outside. She slept on our couch that night, curled into herself. No blanket could warm what shame had frozen. At sunrise, Bennett came down the stairs. He looked at her, then looked at me, and said it quiet but firm. "She cannot stay here. Not anymore." I didn't argue, because I knew he was right, but my heart wanted to hold on for 1 more hour. Just 1 more hour of pretending she was still my friend, before the world would take her away. It was 7:42 a.m., 2 short knocks, 1 long. Bennett opened the door. His face said everything before the officers even spoke. Colette stood frozen in the hallway, still in my oversized sweater, eyes red. Voice gone. One officer stepped forward, calm and cold. "We have a warrant for the arrest of Colette Hensley on charges of fraud and misrepresentation." I turned to her. She didn't move. I stepped between them just for a moment. "She's not running," I said quietly. "She came here on her own. I'll tell them that if it helps." Colette's eyes welled up, but she nodded and whispered, "Thank you for that." They cuffed her gently. No struggle. As if her body had already surrendered long ago. She looked back once, not at Bennett, not at the cops, just at me, and I held that gaze until the door closed again. The courtroom was silent, not tense, not hostile, just silent, like a church before a funeral. I stood at the witness stand, hands clenched in my lap, eyes locked on the judge, but I could feel her, Colette, 2 rows behind the defense table, hair tied back, no makeup, just a face. A face I had known since college, a face I now barely recognized. The prosecutor leaned forward. "Mrs. Rowan, did Colette Hensley ever confess the pregnancy was fake?" I took a breath. Yes, she did. A ripple moved through the courtroom. Reporters scribbled. A camera clicked. "And did she tell you why she did it?" I looked down at my hands, then up again. "She lost a child," I said. "She never recovered. Her grief became something she didn't know how to escape from." Silence. "I'm not here to excuse what she did," I added, "but I won't stand here and pretend she was just a liar. She was broken, and she needed help long before she broke the rules. No more questions." As I stepped down, I saw her eyes. She mouthed one word, "Thank you," and that was the only truth left between us. The envelope came in early spring. No return address. Just my name written in handwriting Eidingwul like my own heartbeat. I opened it slowly. Inside, a single sheet, folded neatly. No flowers, no dramatic plea, just ink on paper. It read, "Sarah. They say the facility has a beautiful garden. I wouldn't know. I'm not allowed outside yet. But I imagine it's full of things trying to grow in the wrong season, like me. I've learned things here, about trauma, about grief, about where lies begin and where they become too comfortable. But most of all, I've learned about silence. You saved me, not by defending me, but by finally stopping me." I sat down with the letter in my lap. Outside, the wind shifted. And for the first time in months, I exhaled without guilt. I folded the letter once, no rereading, no lingering, just one clean crease, like closing a chapter. Then I opened the old cedar box. Inside, a friendship bracelet we made at summer camp, ages 12 and invincible. A photo of us at prom, both in dresses too tight and dreams too loud. And the shawl. The shawl I pretended to forget, the excuse to return, the moment everything changed. I placed the letter in between the layers, not to forget, but to remember the whole story, not just the ruin. I closed the box, and this time I didn't cry, because some goodbyes don't need tears, they just need to be honest. I came back, not for closure, not for answers, just to remember how easy it is to be fooled by perfection. The yard was empty now, the roses trimmed back, the balloons long gone. But I sat where I had before, near the gazebo, where she once opened gifts and posed for photos with a fake bump. The wind picked up. Leaves drifted across the grass like little secrets, too light to stay buried. I thought of her face, her voice, the way she looked at me that last night in the rain, and I whispered, "Some lies are told from love, others because love for attention outweighed love for truth." One last gust of wind scattered the leaves, and that's when I stood up, turned away from the empty lawn, and walked forward into a life no longer built on pretending. Sometimes the people who seem the most put together are hiding the deepest fractures. Not all lies are born from evil. Some grow quietly out of pain, out of loneliness, out of a desperate hunger to feel seen. But no matter the reason, truth matters. Because when we excuse deception for the sake of sympathy, we end up drowning in stories that were never real and forgetting the people who truly needed saving. Let this be a reminder. Compassion doesn't mean enabling, and silence isn't always kindness. If this story made you feel something, if it reminded you of someone you lost or someone you almost became, then don't scroll away just yet. Hit subscribe for more true-to-life stories that peel back the layers of human nature. Tap like to help this story reach someone who may need it today. And in the comments, tell us, have you ever trusted a lie because it came from someone you loved? Because on this channel, we don't just tell stories, we confront the truths behind them.